What if I told you the most important election for Africa in 2026 isn't for a president? This is Kenya News Update today. In February 2026, African Union member states will vote to fill 10 seats on the continent's top human rights watchdogs. But here's the twist. This quiet election could decide whether thousands of Africans live or die in the next election cycle. Coming up, you'll discover the hidden power of these institutions and why their leaders matter more than ever. Meet the African Commission on Human and People's Rights and the African Committee of Experts on the Rights and the Welfare of the Child. These are the bodies tasked with ensuring Africans live in dignity and equality, a difficult task in a continent where human rights often sound hollow or precarious. For decades, these institutions have been deeply underestimated. But as a scholar in the article reveals, they have considerable powers. They can undertake investigations and issue binding decisions against African governments. Their decisions can attract serious sanctions if disregarded. This is the real power behind the vote. But here's what nobody's talking about. The need for these institutions has never been more urgent. Recent events show why. Several AU treaties protect the right to vote and mandate independent courts to arbitrate election disputes. However, the article states that most of Africa's elections are now more poorly managed than ever before. And then, something shocking happened. In 2025 alone, in countries like Cameroon, Côte d'Ivoire, and Tanzania, thousands of Africans were killed in state-sponsored election violence. Thousands. In many countries, the judiciary and other independent institutions face attacks or are captured by politicians. This has created a perfect storm. It's contributed to deepening civic apathy, a creeping return of military and authoritarian rule, and further erosion of democratic governance across the continent. Here's the part that will blow your mind. These treaty institutions don't organize or supervise national elections, but they are the last line of defense. They can counter authoritarianism by mobilizing responses to the underlying causes of rigged elections. They are the check when governments attack protesters, shut down the internet, displace communities without compensation, or hijack elections. This is why the February 2026 election is so consequential. They will elect 3 experts to the Commission for 6-year terms and 7 to the Child Rights Committee for 5-year terms. These 10 individuals will serve alongside 23 peers. But there's a historic problem. Good intentions, poor outcomes. When the Organization of African Unity elected the pioneer experts to the African Commission in 1987, most were senior ministers from dictatorships. Today, the AU no longer elects obvious politicians. Still, the candidates are mostly aligned with ruling African governments. This was not the intention. The institutions were created to respond to governments, not to be extensions of them. This creates a massive tension. Some say electing independent experts is the only way to save African democracy from itself. Others argue that governments will never vote against their own interests. So what does this mean for you? For Kenyans watching, for Tanzanians, for Nigerians? It means the guardians of your fundamental rights are being chosen in a backroom election most people don't even know is happening. It means the bodies that could investigate future election violence or state capture are being staffed right now. The implications are continent-wide. This election is about whether these institutions remain paper tigers or become the powerful defenders they were meant to be. The controversy is clear. Can a system where governments elect their own watchdogs ever truly hold power accountable? The unanswered question hangs in the air. If these institutions fail, who will protect African lives when governments turn violent? Do you think African leaders will elect truly independent human rights defenders? Or will it be business as usual? Drop your take in the comments. Subscribe to Kenya News Update today for more breaking news that connects the dots across our continent.